Welcome back, friends. Today we have a story that is also about Thanksgiving, but today it's not about the first Thanksgiving, it's about Franklin's Thanksgiving. Oh, I love Franklin. I was so excited when I first read one of Franklin's stories because Franklin wasn't around when I was a little girl. So I've gotten to know Franklin over the last several years. So, Franklin's Thanksgiving. Here's the title page. Let's see if you might see that somewhere else in the story. Franklin liked everything about Thanksgiving. He liked eating pumpkin fly pie and cranberry jelly. He liked making cornucopias and corn husk dolls. But most of all, he liked having his grandma and grandpa come for dinner. It was a family tradition, and Franklin could hardly wait. Do you see your grandparents for Thanksgiving? A week before Thanksgiving, a postcard arrived from Franklin's grandparents. "Oh dear," sighed Franklin's mother. "Grandma and Grandpa can't make it back for the holiday." "But they have to," cried Franklin. There's they're always here for Thanksgiving." Franklin's mother gave him a hug. "There will still be the four of us," she said. "It won't be the same," Franklin grumbled. Here's that picture. Over the next few days, Franklin was so busy that he didn't have much time to think about Grandma and Grandpa. He helped his mother pick apples and make applesauce. He helped his father dig up vegetables and store them in the cellar. Franklin and Bear helped Harriet and Beatrice pick berries and gather nuts. In the gardens, the orchards, forest, and fields, everyone was bringing in the harvest. Everybody was busy bringing in the things that they had planted in the spring. Franklin counted all the jars of jam and preserves. "I think this year was the most bountiful ever," announced his father. "We could feed the whole town." "I just wished we could feed Grandpa and Grandma," said Franklin. His mother agreed. "We'll miss having company," she said. At school, Franklin's class made a harvest quilt and learned how the early settlers celebrated Thanksgiving. "What are you doing for Thanksgiving, Mr. Owl?" asked Franklin. "I'll have dinner with my mother," he replied. "Our relatives can't visit this year." "Ours neither," said Franklin. Then he had an idea. He invited Mr. Owl and his mother for dinner. "It's all right with my parents," Franklin explained. "They want company." "Well, thank you, Franklin," said Mr. Owl. "We'd be delighted to come." Franklin smiled. This would be a wonderful surprise for his parents. At home, Franklin's mother looked at the berry pies cooling on the windowsill. She had an idea. She walked over to Bear's house and invited the whole family for Thanksgiving. "It will be a wonderful surprise for everyone," she explained. In the garden, Franklin's father waved to Mr. Mole. "Are you going to your sister's for Thanksgiving?" he asked. "Not this year," replied Mr. Mole. "With my broken ankle, I can't go far." Franklin's father had an idea. He invited Mr. Mole for dinner. "It will be a wonderful surprise for everyone," he explained. Oh my, what's happening? After school, Franklin went home with Moose. That's when he had another idea. It was the Moose family's first Thanksgiving in Woodland. Franklin invited them to dinner. "It's all right with my parents," he explained. "They want company." "We'd be delighted," replied Mrs. Moose. Franklin smiled. His surprise was getting bigger and bigger. Are you starting to imagine what's going to happen in the story? You making any predictions in your head of what's going to happen? Let's see. On Thanksgiving morning, Franklin got up early to help with dinner. He stirred soup and shucked corn. Then he set the table for 9. Franklin's father counted the place settings. He shook his head and reset the table for 5. Franklin's mother looked at the table. She was puzzled. That means she was confused. But she added 3 more place settings. And everyone took turns peeking out the window, watching for the surprise guest. Remember, none of them know that the other one invited somebody. Oh my. You think they're all excited? I think so. Mr. Owl and his mother were the first to arrive. "Surprise!" Franklin shouted to his parents. "This is a surprise," they exclaimed. Then Franklin saw the Bear family and Mr. Mole. Now everyone was surprised. All the guests crowded inside, holding platters and bowls heaped high with food. So, like, everybody that came brought stuff. So there was lots of food. Franklin and his parents laughed and tried to explain what had happened. "Well, we sure had plenty to eat," declared Franklin's mother. "We just don't have plenty of room." Franklin knew they had a big problem. The Moose family hadn't arrived yet. Franklin looked around. There wasn't one bit of room inside. But outside, suddenly Franklin knew what to do. You have a prediction? What do you think's going to happen? Can you tell somebody next to you? What do you think's going to happen next in the story? You ready? Moose and his family arrived as all the others came out the door. Everyone carried food and dishes and tables and chairs. "What's going on?" asked Moose. "We're eating our Thanksgiving dinner in the field," answered Bear. "Just like the early settlers," said Franklin. Is that your prediction? It's okay if it wasn't, because a prediction's just a guess. Pretty creative in their solution, weren't they? It was a wonderful afternoon. Everyone ate lots of good food, and everyone said how thankful they were for good friends and family. Franklin was thankful for 3 helpings of pumpkin fly pie. I'm eating Grandma and Grandpa's share, he explained. Soon the sun was setting and it was time to go home. This was a wonderful day, said Franklin's mother. Franklin agreed. Let's do it again next year, he said. Everyone laughed and cheered. Grandma and Grandpa phoned later that night, and Franklin told them all about the new Thanksgiving tradition. They promised that next year they wouldn't miss it for anything. Franklin smiled. He might not get 3 helpings of pumpkin fly pie next year, but he knew he'd still be thankful. What a fun story. I would love for those of you that are on Google Classroom to send me a message and let me know who you are going to have Thanksgiving with. I'm going to be with my son. I'm going to be with Derek and Holden's mom and stepdad. So that's who I'm going to be with for Thanksgiving. Who are you going to be with? And if you're not in my classroom, you could send me a message on Messenger and let me know who you are going to be with for Thanksgiving. I would love to know. You have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.